Are you thinking of visiting Venice soon? Well, stick around, because today we're going to cover the most common tourist mistakes to avoid when visiting Venice.
Stay tuned!
Hi everyone, I'm Rick.
And I'm Andrea, and today we'll tell you mistakes that you should avoid when visiting Venice, Italy. But first, if you like travel-related videos like this one, now it's a great time to hit the subscribe button down below, so you'll never miss any future videos.
Wow, that's great advice.
Thank you! So let's begin with the first don'ts of Venice. Don't go to Venice just for the day. Too many people go to Venice just for a few hours, or from the morning to the evening.
Yeah, no.
Well, this is a terrible mistake, as you won't be able to see everything at once. You should spend at least 1 or 2 nights in Venice, if you want to experience and appreciate the real magic of this beautiful, beautiful city.
Yeah.
In fact, at night the city is completely different. The lights give Venice a completely new feeling and atmosphere. Also, at night the city is way less busy than during the day, when all the tourists, thousands of them, are wandering around the city. For this reason, at night it feels like a completely different city. So, spend the night in the city and you won't regret it.
Exactly. Alright, so let's move on to our next don't of Venice. And that's, don't bring giant bags with you. Seriously, bringing a big suitcase in Venice is not a good idea for anyone. In order to reach any of the hotels in the city, you're going to need to walk up and down and up and down and over so many steps and go over at least 1 or 2 or 10 bridges. For this reason, bringing a big bag, that's a terrible idea. The best option is to leave your big luggage at one of the many bag deposits in the city, and then just bring a small backpack or a little bag with you for the 1 or 2 nights in the city. Alternatively, you can hire a porter that can carry your bag from the station to your hotel, but this can be a bit costly.
Very costly.
Yeah.
Moving on to our next don't of Venice, don't forget to buy skip-the-line tickets in advance.
Yeah.
Like we said before, in many Italian tourist cities, you should always buy the skip-the-line tickets for the attraction you want to visit, and in Venice in particular. If you don't buy the skip-the-line ticket in advance, you will end up spending hours waiting in line, or worse, the attraction might be really sold out.
Yeah, and don't forget about the hot sun, right?
Absolutely. It's particularly true for places like St. Mark's Basilica, the Doge Palace, the Campanile.
Yeah.
So don't do that. We leave a link in the description below for the skip-the-line ticket or for the most important attraction in Venice. Check it out.
Absolutely. All right, so our next don't of Venice is don't wear flip-flops or high heels around Venice. Venice is a very old city, and most of the streets, well, they're called calle in Venice, and means they have uneven surfaces. Also, when you walk around Venice, you're going to have to go over many bridges with steps going up and down. So that means exploring Venice will require a lot of walking. For this reason, wearing flip-flops or shoes with high heels, it's a terrible idea. You'll risk tripping and hurting yourself, and it could ruin your holiday. For this reason, the best kind of shoes to wear in Venice are comfortable walking shoes that fit well.
Absolutely. Let's explore our next don't of Venice. Don't eat at touristy restaurant.
No.
This is a very important tip, not only in Venice, but everywhere else in the world, or in Italy actually. If a restaurant offers menù turistico, this means that it's a place that targets tourists, and you will not have a good, authentic meal.
Food experience, no, definitely.
No. Another hint to spot tourist restaurant is to check for menu. If the menu offers everything possible, like from pasta to pizza to steak, carbonara, lasagna, burgers, sushi, chances are this is a not authentic restaurant. Before picking a restaurant, it's a good idea to check the reviews on Google. If the restaurant is below 4, stay away, go to the next one.
I would even say 4.0 is too little.
Yeah. Lastly, be aware that in Venice, if you want to eat or have a drink right by the major tourist landmark, you will have to pay a very high premium for the location. So as long as you know that and you're comfortable with that, then go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you might want to take that Instagram moment, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so moving on to our next don't of Venice, and that's don't forget to eat the local food. I mean, it's the best, right? The local food, like any other place in Italy. Venice has its own special dishes, and it would be a shame if you visit Venice without trying some of the local food. Being a city on the water, that means that Venice has an incredible tradition of seafood dishes. Some of the most famous include crab, squid ink pasta, which is delicious, and bacala, which is salted cod. Also, Venice is famous for something called cicchetti, and this is the equivalent, or the Venetian equivalent, of tapas that are served mostly for lunch.
Don't say tapas in Venice.
No.
No.
Now, you can choose from several different cicchetti with seafood, meat, vegetables,
Whatever you like.
whatever you like. And of course, don't forget to enjoy it with the local wine. It's probably the best way to have lunch in Venice.
Well, let's continue with our next don't of Venice with don't stick by the usual attraction. Venice is probably one of the most beautiful cities in the world, and it has some incredible attraction. Yes, everyone should visit the Doge Palace, San Marco Square, the Grand Canal, the Rialto Bridge, but Venice has so much more to offer. In fact, every bridge in Venice is a postcard on its own. For this reason, we strongly suggest you visit this area of the city that are off the beaten path.
Right, because you're going to see all the other stuff along the way anyway.
Once you have seen the famous landmark, start walking around and the many little streets in the city and enjoy the view and soak in all the beauty that this city has to offer. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah, and you might get lost for a few minutes, but not for very long.
No.
All right, so our next don't of Venice, and that's don't forget to buy the Vaporetto pass. Now, the Vaporetto is the equivalent of the city bus in Venice. When you visit Venice, you should definitely buy the Vaporetto bus or Vaporetto pass for the whole amount of your visit. So getting the pass will allow you to get on and off the Vaporetto and reach all of the areas of the city. Also, there's some areas of Venice, like the Grand Canal, that are only visible from the water. And if you don't have the pass, well, you won't be able to see them. Well, I mean, maybe if they took an expensive gondola or taxi, but it's like so much more expensive. Also, when you have the Vaporetto pass, you won't miss our next topic of don'ts of Venice, and that's...
Don't forget to visit Murano and Burano. The two islands of Murano and Burano in the Venetian lagoon are definitely part of the visit of Venice. Not stopping in Murano and Burano would not make your visit complete.
Right.
In particular, in Murano, you can go and see the ancient art of glass blowing. You can visit like the many stores that sells Murano glass, and you can walk around in the street of this small island without too many tourists around.
Yeah, I have a little tip, by the way. If you go to Murano and you want to look at the glass blowing, go take a look at the first one, but don't buy anything just yet. Just then go to the second one, then go to the third one. You're going to see, you're still going to start to see a lot of the same things, but the prices are going to be a little bit lower. And in Burano, you'll be able to see the beautiful, colorful houses that are the main attractions of this island.
Definitely worth it. Don't miss it. Let's move to our next don't of Venice. Don't feed the pigeons. There are a few things in Venice that are forbidden, and one of them is feeding the pigeons. Even though many people want to take the famous photo in San Marco feeding the pigeon from their hands, is not a good idea, and is not allowed. And for doing this, you might get a big ticket, so keep in mind, don't do that.
All right, so for this next tip, it shocks me that I even have to mention it, but here it is. Don't swim in the canals, please. Swimming in the canals is extremely dangerous. The water is polluted, you can smell it, and there's boats moving around, and it's also against the law, so please don't do it. Just a few years ago, some German tourists were caught swimming under the Rialto Bridge. What were they thinking?
It's so busy there.
And they were fined $790.
The next thing that you should not do in Venice is don't sit around and eat. This might sound a little strange, but the city of Venice doesn't want tourists to sitting around on the street and eat. I guess they want you to eat in a restaurant rather than in St. Mark's Square, and
Rightfully so.
rightfully so. The city of Venice has a list of fine between 100 and 200 euros if you do so, so keep it in mind. So, next tip is don't be rude to the locals. Local Venetians are proud of their city, and with thousands of tourists visiting every day, it goes without saying that emotions can sometimes be a little heated.
Like the weather.
Like the weather. Instead, take it easy. Enjoy the city like a local. Take things slow and be polite, and you'll enjoy this very much more.
I totally agree. All right, so next one. It might seem obvious, but Venice is a beautiful city, and it's important to keep it clean. So please, throw your garbage in the trash can.
Yes.
Leaving garbage on the street, or worse, in the canal, is not only gross, but it's also against the law. And believe me, the police, they will fine you up to 350 euros if they see you doing it.
And finally, don't forget to have fun.
Yes.
Yes, don't forget to have fun in Venice. Venice is a magical city, and you're sure to have a wonderful time, no matter what you do. Some of our favorite things to do include taking a cheap gondola ride, or go lost in the city, exploring the hundreds of little bridges, and don't forget to take a vaporetto ride to go to some little lesser-known areas.
Oh, and I have one more, by the way. If you happen to see us in Venice or any city,
Anywhere.
don't hesitate to say hi. We've seen so many of you on our recent trips, and I have to say, it is so nice to meet you all in person. Big shout out to our friends and viewers in the United States, Canada, remember Australia, Malaysia, you know who you are, and all over the world.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this video about the don'ts of Venice, and that you have learned something about this beautiful city, and makes you a better trip next time you visit.
Absolutely. As usual, if you have any questions, please leave us a comment below. We love to hear from you and answer your questions.
Absolutely. In the meantime, we'll see you on our next video.
Ciao.
Ciao!